the show actually starts. Yeah. I've been messing around with the editor quite a bit, trying to get familiar with that. And I know that's where the magic's going to come in. And guess what? I now see the more button. It is there, visible. Yep. There we go. Yes, I can. Yeah. So I think I'm ready to get started. And I love that you're able to take a chance and come on the show. This is literally the second episode I've ever recorded. And God bless you for being willing and humble enough to just come on and hang out with me for a little bit. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Podup, of course, because not only am I an investor, but of all the podcasting platforms I was looking at using, I looked around and I really love Podup the most, and I guess you could consider this like the intro to the show, along with intro to Nathan Gwilliam as the founder. And I don't know if you're also the CEO, but you're definitely the founder and CEO of Podup. And I'll just I'll give a little quick intro about you of what I know, because I think you're one of the coolest guys in tech that I've met personally. I mean, I know a lot of cool guys, but you're one of the few guys that I've met in person that I've actually invested in their company. I've invested in companies where I've never met the founders in person. Uh, I don't restrict myself to just Utah because of that. But from what I know on LinkedIn and having conversations with each other, you've been in digital media in one way or another for at least 2 decades, probably longer. And you've worked at Deseret Digital Media, where you helped explode their growth. You worked at adoption.com. You founded that, as far as I know, and you exploded that. Dang. And where did you go to college again? Was that BYU? Yeah. I was a UVU grad myself. So go. Yeah, it's exploding in growth over there too. Yeah. And now you exited adoption.com and did a whole sabbatical of doing a full podcast yourself, doing a daily podcast. I think you took some sort of challenge to just see if you could do it every single day or something like that. And I thought that was really cool. That was very commendable. And I came in as an investor almost a year ago, I think. I can't remember exactly how long it's been, but it's I came in on one of your first rounds. And I put in basically what amounts to enough to get me in the door, I guess, for lack of a better term. Yes, that I do know. I've got a lot of friends who are all in various phases of raising money. I know a bunch of angel groups that are investing in different things, and I always have thought it's way more about who you know than what you know or anything like that. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start this show, is because number one, I do know a lot of really cool people executing on their vision, whether it's professionally or personally or any vision that we have for ourselves. There's probably a bunch of different facets to everyone's vision. And so I didn't want to confine this show to just business vision or personal vision. It's just whatever your vision or visions are for yourself, and however you describe those and however you envision things in your head. I kind of want to see what a vision is to you personally and how you're going to execute on that vision specifically, as specifically as you want to be. I want to just make this a platform for people to state their intentions for the year, because statistically speaking, when we tell our goals to other people and we have accountability partners that way, we're 76% more likely to achieve them. And we all know that 42% of all statistics are made up. But I think the rule of thumb there is the more people you have who know your vision and your goals, the more likely you are to achieve them. That's just what I've seen in my life, and I think you would agree with that as well. For sure. Yes, sir. Nice. That's a crazy way to do whatever it takes to make the company profitable. I'll be the first to say I don't know if I would ever do that kind of thing with any venture. I've started three of my own companies, and all of them are still operational. Uh, I know for a fact I personally would never go to that level of money raising. Not only that, though, I know my wife well enough now. We've been married 20 years this year. I don't know how long you've been married, but when you're married that long, uh, you start to realize, as an entrepreneur especially, your wife really is your best business partner. If you take advantage of her talent and her skills and her complementary talents to yours, and I didn't realize that until like 12 years into our marriage. My wife has all these amazing abilities. I never once asked her, what do you think about this business idea? But since I started doing that, I made a lot better decisions in all sorts of ways. So when I hear you say your wife and you came to this conclusion, this decision, that says a lot about you in a number of different ways. It means you're smart because your wife has intuition and intelligence that I don't think we as men have naturally in as much of that measure of that particular sort of intelligence. So when I hear you say that she's behind this with you and you're going forward with that decision, it adds a whole element of weight and value to it. I think that you wouldn't have any other way. Well, I think you're lucky to have that. that support. And I'm honored that you're making this announcement on on my little show. It I can hold off on posting this to whenever you feel, but yeah, I am trying to every show I record. I'm actually my goal is to get it live within the week of it being recorded because I'm trying to do a show a week at this point. But if I need to release this one after I've done a couple of more, that's no big deal. It's not, yeah, that's no big deal. And my first show, which was just me talking about my backstory, I actually, true to my saying on my wall, vision with execution is reality. I intentionally talked about who some of the people were that I wanted to have on my show, and you were one of those people. And so there's several other people that I'm definitely that I know will come on the show and just we'll have a good time. And so I never said in which order I'd have any of those people, so it totally doesn't matter to me. Yeah, and if you want to go into any more detail about how you're going to execute on this big, hairy, audacious goal, you're more than welcome to, because that's the other part of this equation. Is having a vision is one thing, but executing it into reality, that's And if you want to know how to do that, everybody just call Nathan. Right. That's smart. I love it. So with outsourcing to India efficiently, that definitely sounds like a strategy that it would take somebody with a lot of background experience in it to be able to execute on that. And so I don't say that to discourage anybody from trying, by the way, but if if I'm thinking to myself, how would I execute on that if I wanted to go do that today? And I'm just thinking to myself, I would need to know the right person probably to help walk me through some of the hurdles that are going to happen there. And you're obviously incredibly well versed in doing that from top to bottom. But I suspect there are likely consultants that could help anybody navigate that solution, that situation. And that is a principle that I live by, which is it's all about who, not how. So if you've got a vision and you know you want to execute it on it, but you're not entirely sure how, think about the who first. That's what I always tell people. Yeah. Yeah, nor should you. You're the CEO running and executing the vision and putting all the right who's in place to make that happen. That's awesome. What if there's anything else that you can think of that you're doing right now to execute on that big vision? Well, yeah, I can confirm that's true. In my business that I founded, Torque Media, I decided a long time ago that it was I was going to take a chance on that idea. And this was back when I only had 100 sites at my disposal. And I just was like, instead of selling one site at a time, I'll just bundle them all together and sell them as a monthly access fee, publish unlimited articles. And it looked on paper like I was taking a huge haircut on potential revenue because on my average cost per site was around $25 to $30 at a time. And so if you just do that math and I had 100 clients, it looked like on paper I would lose a ton of money if I bundled all of them together and gave them away unlimited usage. But it turns out it did nothing but increase my income, my revenue. It drastically reduced the time I had to spend or my team had to spend managing any of that because we implemented some systems and processes that allowed us to do that. And it's way easier to sell it as a bundle of everything included, everything in the kitchen sink, basically. And I think it's I don't know what this says about the way you and I think, but or maybe me and Stu think, but I've felt that same way for a long time, and I've seen it work in my own business time and time again. When you have everything standardized, you don't have one client getting this thing and another client getting that thing, and they all just get the same, and you it just makes things so much easier on all sides for the clients too. It's like they don't have to remember, well, what do I have access to with that amount of money? Now they know it's everything. So it eases their time spent. It reduces friction, like you mentioned. Anyway, I we're all on the same page there. Win win win. So I think, given that this is the second episode I've ever recorded, my closing is not scripted or anything. I have no idea how I want to end my shows, but other than to say this has been a wonderful conversation. I'm so glad I've known you this whole time that I've known you, which is before I ever invested. I've known you and got to meet you in person, which I'm really grateful for because it doesn't happen all the time. And um, I guess I'll ask. I may not ever do this again for any other show, but it just occurs to me to ask: do you have a favorite saying from anybody for any reason that you like to put out there when you're ending a conversation with anybody? Yeah, I figured you're the kind of guy to have some sort of saying on the wall. I'm pretty sure I've heard it. I could not quote it to you at all. That's beautiful. That's a great way to end. And I wish there was a class in junior high that taught kids how to think this way, because if they really knew how unique and special they each were in their own way, the young kids, the young generation would have so few they would have so many less problems with depression and anxiety and stress, because they would know all